Do y'all remember when Donald Trump explicitly said he wanted to be a dictator? Then Democrats warned people about Donald Trump wanting to be a dictator. Republicans said that was ridiculous. Then Donald Trump's former staffers and his former cabinet officials also confirmed he wanted to be a dictator. Democrats warned Donald Trump wanted to be a dictator. Do you see where I'm going with this? Yeah, now he's really making it clear how much of a dictator he wants to be. We were always right. This is the I told you so presidency, and we knew it all along. That's what the I told you so is about. Donald Trump is attacking the judicial branch, taking power from Congress, trying to push every last bit of authority as he can into the Oval Office for, of course, he and Elon Musk to share equally. But it just got worse with a post he made today, really laying it all out. And it's the reason George Conway called out Donald Trump in such a brutal way. And we're going to get into that all and a little bit of a rant about J.D. Vance later in this video. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like. And if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way, and it really does mean a lot to me. Now let's check out what George Conway had to say about Donald Trump's criminality. Then we're going to check out his insane post.
The definition of a sociopath, they don't want to obey laws, they don't want to obey rules, they don't think they apply to them. And Donald Trump has no moral conscience and no empathy. He does not care about anybody else other than Donald Trump, which is why in his first term he said, Article 2 lets me do whatever I want, Article 2 of the Constitution. The first Trump term, which I call Shit Show 1, was a... was an assault on the rule of law, but it was only like it was like cancer. It was like a stage 1, maybe stage 2. We got to stage 2 right around January 6th, and he was a threat to the rule of law. And then he went into remission. Now he's back. We're at stage 3. Stage 3 is basically where we are ignoring laws and running roughshod over laws. I mean, they're basically refusing to spend money appropriated by Congress, which is against the law. The law requires the president to spend money. The president can't not spend the money that's been allocated for particular subjects. And you've got this guy who's not been appointed lawfully under the Constitution.
Let's talk about that.
Musk. Yep. And so that's stage 3. Stage 4 is going to be, well, these courts are telling me not to obey orders. Why should I don't want to obey the law, so why am I obeying the courts? And stage 4 is metastasis. Stage 4 is when democracy can die, and the rule of law can die, and constitutionalism can die. And we unless something happens radically, I can't see how we don't get to stage 4, because the logical path that they are taking, which is that the law doesn't apply to us, and nobody can enforce the law against us.
Yeah.
Okay? And that includes Musk. It includes a guy like a Boris Epstein who tried to hold people up for cabinet positions. It includes everyone around him. They have no fear of ever being investigated. If you're friendly with Trump, like Mayor Adams, you get a pass. And even if the Justice Department were highly unlikely to charge you, guess who could give you a pardon if you go back and kiss the ring? Okay, but it's worse than that. You point out that the Justice Department isn't going to prosecute any of these minions. It's worse than that. The Justice Department is the only way courts can enforce orders. I'm a judge, and you do something in your court, and you throw something at me. I can throw you in jail for civil contempt, okay, or criminal contempt. To enforce my orders, as a federal judge, I can have you thrown in jail. How do I do that? I say, Marshal, take her away. Guess who the U.S. Marshal Service works for?
Oh, my gosh.
The United States Department of Justice. And who does the United States Department of Justice report to? This is the problem. The courts have no police of their own. They have no army of their own. Right. The only thing that stands between us and utter lawlessness is our willingness, and in particular, the willingness of government officials, including and especially the President of the United States, to obey the court orders, even when they have good faith disagreements with those orders. And this president doesn't have good faith disagreement with these orders. He does not care.
It is incredibly clear what the entire Trump administration, the Trump operation, the Trump mafia family is all about. It's about ceding power into the executive branch, specifically with him, because none of his cabinet secretaries are ever going to do anything he tells them not to. They're all spineless. That's why he wanted them. But it's also about intimidation. As Conway kind of alluded to, if these judges don't think that they have the ability to have their rulings enforced by the executive branch, what's even the point of making them? If judges think that, one, nothing will happen, there will be no enforcement of their rulings, and two, they will pay the price for it, maybe losing their job, as Elon Musk wants to see happen now, which is completely ridiculous, or MAGA, newly energized with Donald Trump's pardons for January 6th insurrectionists, will go after them, their families, dox their homes, share more information about them. It is incredibly scary to be opposing Donald Trump right now. And that's what he wants. He wants that intimidation because he knows he is, in fact, a weak person, that he is becoming more feeble by the day, that he's certainly losing it up here, and that he's a lame duck president. That is why he is talking about a third term. That is why he is trying to make himself in every aspect above the law. And it's the reason he made this insane post that people are rightfully freaking out about today. Trump wrote, "Who saves his country does not violate any law." That's not true, Donald. First of all, the implicature there is that Donald Trump is saving the country. And I ask, from what? Are you saving us from eggs being $2.50 now that they're $6.50? Are you saving us from the scary Gulf of Mexico being called the Gulf of Mexico? Are you saving us from not being in a trade war with Canada and Mexico and China and really the rest of the world? What are you saving us from exactly? But it doesn't matter. Donald Trump always thinks that whatever Donald Trump does is best. Make America Great Again isn't about a policy change to direct our country in a way that'll bring about more positivity or better circumstances for people's lives. Donald Trump thinks America is great when Donald Trump is in charge. Donald Trump thinks America is saved when Donald Trump does whatever Donald Trump wants. It is all about him. It's why we continue to return to the point about him being so weak. He is grasping at anything to make people think, before he has to get into the mess of actually legislating, while he's still culture warring around and just saying whatever he wants, that he's strong, but he is not. He has a Congress that can't get anything done. He is losing his mind by the day, and everything he is doing is illegal. And right now, sure, it seems like it's going to be made to happen. But as we give time for courts to respond, a lot of this stuff is going to get struck down. Donald Trump is aware that he has to flood the zone to try to have any semblance of success. He knows that. He is well aware of the fact that he has to flood the zone. He has to push a false narrative so people do not realize how much he is screwing them. That is what this is all about. And it runs so counter to something J.D. Vance said just yesterday. And I said I wanted to get a little bit of a J.D. Vance rant in. We're gonna do it by checking out this video right here.
Speaking up and expressing opinions isn't election interference. Even when people express views outside your own country, and even when those people are very influential. And trust me, I say this with all humor. If American democracy can survive 10 years of Greta Thunberg scolding, you guys can survive a few months of Elon Musk. But what no democracy, American, German, or European, will survive is telling millions of voters that their thoughts and concerns, their aspirations, their pleas for relief are invalid or unworthy of even being considered. Democracy rests on the sacred principle that the voice of the people matters. There's no room for firewalls. You either uphold the principle or you don't.
So first of all, I can't even, I hate J.D. Vance so much because he's just so disingenuous. He clearly does not believe in any of the things he's saying. And if he does, it's because his brain has been so warped by MAGA. And that's another thing. But I don't get the idea of Greta Thunberg imposing herself on the American government through what? A couple of speeches and, some well-received social media posts about making sure the climate doesn't kill us all? Like, I don't get that. This is the thing with Republicans, is that they talk about how much they love speech. And of course, that was this kind of larger message for Vance. And then we're going to get into the other part, but they love speech and they're so strong and powerful and tough. But then, hey, you know, like a teenager, like talking about climate is this burden on them that is equivalent to Elon Musk's slashing of the programs that people need to eat, to like have housing and to live. People have died because of his actions. Like, it is an equal burden for Republicans to have pointed out what they are doing is wrong as it is for other people to die. That is how like sad they are. That is how just weak-willed and like this desire they have to be victims. It's only like, it is embarrassing. But the other thing that JD said there, which is just inherently wrong, is this lecture that he's given about you need to listen to your voters. First of all, one election does not decide how the American system of government works. Like, if just because you won the presidency doesn't mean like that is the entirety of the government. That's fundamentally not how we do this thing. And, you know, this is a lot of what, if J.D. Vance cared to like actually think about any of the texts that he read, something that James Madison, the founding fathers that they all supposedly love, really warned about, right? John Adams as well, the difference between the people and the public operating on the whims of any given moment versus actually carrying out what is in the best interest of the public at large. And I know I am going on a bit of a rant here, but what Vance fundamentally misunderstands is that you were not elected to carry out the culture wars that allow you to self-actualize in government, that make you feel so good. It's not about the Gulf of America. It's about lowering cost, which you have failed to do right away. And they're only going to get worse. So maybe, JD, you should stop lecturing us with your BS, kind of turn those thoughts inward and figure out how to get eggs cheaper, like you promised. That's my JD rant. I hate him so much. And if you do as well, and you want to hear more of those rants, I'm sorry, I really went off. But if you do, as always, you can hit that subscribe button. You can leave a like on this video. And if you stuck around at the end, you can drop a blue heart in the comments. God, I hate JD Vance. Until next time, I'll see you soon.